In this video I'm gonna talk about Lumix 25mm 1.7 lens. This lens is hands down my favorite lens for microfourthirds cameras. In 25mm it's almost perfect focal length for portrait photography, but I use it in almost all of my video projects. In many ways this lens is nifty 50 of Panasonic or microfourthirds cameras. 50mm equivalent, bit plasticky, quite cheap, light, but still offers very good image quality. As it's 25mm in microfourthirds cameras, that means it's bit tight, bit zoomed in, because it's 50mm full frame equivalent. But even though it's bit tighter than something like 25mm equivalent, which is praised usually the best focal length for all the usage, I find this focal length still very usable in most situations. Filming interviews, BTS, documentary style content, product photography and video, I find it very usable in most situations. As it's very close to what human eye can see, the picture it produces is very pleasurable for eyes while still having that, dare I say, cinematic flair to it. And one of the biggest pros I find for this lens is the f1.7 number. This means that it is very helpful for microfourthirds cameras which has very small sensor and struggle in low light. This helps you film in low light situations where you don't have external lighting if you are filming something like documentary. The bokeh is very good, you get better low light with it, and it's very good if you want to separate the subject from the background. And as you can see, it's a bit tight but very manageable in even these kind of YouTube talking head situations. And the image quality is very good. I really enjoy the look it gives. I'm right now filming with it, and hopefully you can agree that it looks pretty okay, even though my mustaches are frozen right now, so I might not look very good here. But as you can see, the background is very blurry and the autofocus is working okay. I'm now filming in autofocus. I'm not sure how much it's hunting. I hope that it keeps me in focus. It's usually pretty good, and especially considering that GH5 has very lackluster autofocus, but it's very usable still. The lens itself does not have image stabilization, but if you pair it something like GH5 which has very good IBIS, you can comfortably film handheld with it without those small micro jitters. There is some movement, of course, but I think IBIS isn't something that makes your camera gimbal or tripod. It's something that helps to take those distracting micro jitters and still has that naturalistic look when you're moving your camera, and I kind of like that small movement you have even when you are almost standing still. The lens itself costs under $200, so it's very cheap lens. I think it might be the cheapest prime lens you can find for a microfourthirds camera, I'm not sure. But I bought this used, so it was under 100 euros or dollars, and even though it's plasticky, it's light, the build quality is still pretty good. So if you want to buy on a budget, I don't think you do mistake if you buy it used. It's not weather sealed, but I have used it in many weathers, like now in -20°C or in rain. No problems, it has worked perfectly. Also the lens hood it comes with is very good. It is very snug, it clips quickly on and off, and I really like to use it on this lens so I don't get those flares or blooming in my picture if I don't want it. And I talked a little bit about autofocus, and manual focus is done by focus by wire, which means it's basically electronical focusing, and it's not easy to do very precise focus pulling, but you can manage it with a little bit of practice. As it's with every gear, with practice you can do almost anything with any gear, almost. To sum it up, If you have something like GH5 or just have bought Micro Four Thirds camera, this is lens I highly recommend buying. So what do you get with this lens? You get focal length that is usable in most situations. You get better low light capabilities for a Micro Four Thirds camera. You get shallower depth of field, and you get very good, quite sharp picture quality. What else do you need? Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.